Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Kieran, and today, guys, I wanted to give you guys a sort of explanation on gratitude, okay? Because I think that people are doing gratitude wrong, and I'm gonna give you guys three different scenarios about kind of how people seem to treat gratitude, okay? So the first scenario that I'm gonna give you guys is, let's just say you wake up in the morning and you're kind of grumpy, pessimistic, right? And you look at the day ahead of you as something horrible, right? And you're depressed and you're sad, and maybe you really don't want to do anything. And so, even possibly, you just kind of go back to sleep, right? You don't even really continue with your day. You just kind of give up right there and then, and you wake up later on at 2 p.m., right? Whatever. And I think we've all been there, and definitely nothing wrong with feeling those kinds of heavy emotions. I think it's very natural. But in any case, those times are probably a definition, something close to anyway, of pessimism, right? Something that is just sort of negative in nature, right? So in this scenario, you have no gratitude, right? You're just simply pessimistic and negative, okay? In the second scenario, you wake up, you head over to your desk, or maybe you don't have to do it after you wake up, but the idea is, you head over to your desk, or at some point during the day, you go wherever you go to write down your things that you're grateful for, right? So you force yourself to be grateful. So in doing that, you give yourself a disciplined act of being grateful, right? So in this idea is that you think that you must be grateful. Now this implies that there's some sort of guilt, right, around not feeling like you're grateful, because all these spiritual teachers and all these sort of texts and all these nice little pithy posts that you'll probably find on Instagram, they'll all tell you that being grateful is the key to happiness, and they'll tell you to make gratefulness lists and to sit down and make sure you write 10 things. I'm grateful for being a cis white male, or whatever the hell your thing is. They want you to be grateful, right? But the problem with this second scenario is that it is born out of guilt, right? As I said, is because you go from the first scenario where you feel shitty and you're pessimistic and negative, and maybe you read something that's like, oh, you have to be more grateful. That's how you bring in abundance to your life. So you think, okay, well, I better list all the things I'm grateful for. And so it's born out of guilt. There's a certain sense of shame, all right? Almost as if just existing, your state of existence, needs some explanation, needs something to justify you being here, because without it, you're simply taking advantage, right? And these are the sort of arguments that you'll find throughout your life where you maybe have an issue that you're dealing with, and somebody will tell you something like, oh, well, you should be grateful. There's kids in Africa starving, right? It was sort of asinine argument, and a sort of ridiculous comparison. But in any case, it's born out of guilt and shame, okay? As if that the problems that you're having are not quite good enough to really feel stressed or worried or depressed about, or even pessimistic, okay? So this second scenario, it takes that pessimism and it makes you feel guilty for it. And this is what the majority of spiritual teachers and sort of all these bullshit posts that you'll find on social media, which people unfortunately pass off as truth, and then you take all that stuff, and it's, most of these people, kind of what they're really telling you is that kind of scenario, okay? But let me paint a third scenario for you. And the third scenario is you wake up, you don't do any of that. You don't go over to your desk or your office, or you take out a piece of paper. You don't write anything down. You don't do any of that stuff. You wake up and you go outside. It's a nice sunny day outside. Okay. You put your bare feet on the grass. There's some grass nearby, and you feel the warmth of the sun. You feel your toes wiggle in the grass. You feel the earth beneath your feet. Okay. You feel connected. Right. There's a certain beauty in the experience by just going outside. So you're not feeling negative. You've moved past the pessimistic stage, and you're no longer feeling guilty for doing something, right? For forcing yourself to be grateful, right? So you're not feeling guilty about your past. The third scenario allows you to just enjoy your life as it was meant to be enjoyed, rather than having to act grateful, simply being grateful. Existing as yourself in the present moment, without needing to do anything to justify you living your life on earth. The third option allows your pessimism to be real and validated, but it inspires you naturally to be more grateful by just enjoying life. And again, the second option just allows you to wallow in your own guilt, and that's why some people, so many people even, are not able to follow through with that second scenario where they go down and list everything they're grateful for. I can't do that. I've tried so many times to just sit down and list everything I'm grateful for, and there are things that I'm truly grateful for. Things that aren't necessarily traditional. You know, yeah, I'm grateful that I have legs, obviously, but truly, where the inspiration comes from for being grateful is things along the lines of being able to take a hot shower, or even more deeper than that, being young as I am, because I am still young, and having the experience and the wisdom that I've gained. Okay, because I know people who are in their 40s and 50s and are still kind of just getting into this idea, this sort of spiritual wisdom. Okay, and that I'm grateful that I'm young and going through it. Even though some things aren't exactly what I want, I am still grateful for that, right? So there are some real legitimate things that I'm grateful for, but every time I put them down on paper and just force myself to be grateful, it takes away the real meaning of that energy of being grateful. And what being grateful is essentially allowing or receiving some type of energy of love, okay? Some type of energetic qualification that is closely associated with love, or kindness, or compassion, or empathy, okay? Something positive, right? Gratefulness is essentially a positive feeling. So when you do that third scenario, you are actually allowing yourself for gratefulness to be a symptom rather than you having to force yourself to sit. And that's why it doesn't work for so many people, because people think they have to do something in order to be grateful, whether they have to force themselves through a disciplined regiment or something in order to make themselves more spiritual, make themselves more enlightened. But you don't have to do that. Life itself has enough answers for you, and they're going to be found in the present moment. You don't need to force yourself to plan everything out. You don't need to do that. A perfect example of this is today. It was raining, right? It was raining today. It was kind of a nice drizzle, and I went into the woods. Beautiful park in the place that I'm staying, in the town that I'm staying at. And it felt like just being in the woods, separate from cars and separate from people. There wasn't too many people there because it was raining, and I love the rain, and it felt good to get some rain because majority of my past 6 or 7 years spent in California. It's not a lot of rain, right? And yeah, the sun's nice and all that and whatever, but I like seasons and I like the rain. So being able to walk through the woods on these trails, just surrounded by thick trees, and I could smell the damp earth, and there's like little slugs on the ground, and I was like, hey, little guy, you know what I mean? I didn't kill him. I used to kill slugs, but I didn't kill him. And he was having a good time, taking his time, getting across the trail. And, you know, little robins and birds and crows and hawks and all the other kind of birds and creatures and stuff that I saw. And, you know, you walk, and it's maybe like a 4-mile hike around this park, and you get down to the lake, and it's kind of raining on the lake. And it's just beautiful, okay? It's a beautiful scenario. And I felt overjoyed during large stretches of time. Nothing was happening. My life didn't necessarily change. I mean, the outside anyway. But as I was walking and enjoying nature, I felt more grateful. I didn't have to write anything down. I didn't have to make a list. I didn't have to make sure that I was being grateful. I was grateful not because of anything specific, but because I was doing something I enjoyed. Because I was doing something that I truly loved, because the weather was just perfect, because it's how I wanted it to be, or it was what it was, and it was nice, and it was perfect, and it just made me happier, and I felt lighter inside my heart space, okay? And that's what the feeling of gratefulness does. It makes you feel lighter, but when you force yourself in that second scenario to do things, you don't really feel that much lighter, because it's just a fucking chore. You're just giving yourself another chore to do. And you probably already have enough chores to do. Probably other things that you really, maybe you force yourself to do in your life that you don't have any other choice, you don't like doing it, and you're just adding something else. You don't have to do that. You simply just have to go out and do something you enjoy, and try to exist within that in the present moment. Because for the majority of that sort of like an hour and a half, 2 hours that I was there, I was mostly in the moment. I was not really thinking about other things. Yeah, towards the end, I kind of got a little bit in my head a little bit, just because I was kind of getting tired and so much people had showed up by that point, the rain had stopped, and I kind of got out of the mood, right? But for that, like an hour and a half, it was like a solid 90 minutes or so. I was living in the moment, peaceful, with no past or present. I was just there, feeling grateful for just being alive, okay? As a natural occurrence of my experience. So this is just a video for those who are struggling with disciplining themselves and being grateful. The second option scenario that I mentioned is something that most people do, something myself included, and it's not necessary, and often it's detrimental. Okay, it's not that it necessarily can't work, and I can't tell you 100% don't do it. It's obviously a step in the right direction. It's better than being pessimistic every day, obviously, but if you struggle and you find yourself hitting a wall more often than not, I'm letting you know that there is a third option, that you can actually supersede that second scenario and just go straight into feeling grateful rather than acting grateful, rather than trying to create a scenario in which you feel grateful. Just go live your life and try to do it the best you can. Do something that you enjoy. You'll feel grateful. Gratefulness will be a symptom of that, okay? So people treat pessimism and negativity as a horrible, terrible thing, and that breeds guilt and shame, okay, and which causes depression a lot. So pessimism and negativity isn't actually inherently wrong, because if you were positive about everything all the time, then you would probably be missing a lot of the truth and the reality of the situations that you're in life, and that wouldn't be any good either. And obviously, it's not good to be pessimistic and negative all the time, because then you miss out on opportunities and you feel that you don't even deserve the good that is available to you. Okay, so there's a healthy balance, and I believe that the third option allows you to feel more balanced in your life. I certainly had a more balanced day than yesterday, and it's simply because I just was enjoying my life. Okay, so I hope this message resonates with most of you. I hope that you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I'll talk to you guys next week when I do the astrology readings for the month of May. All right, guys, have a good one. Bye-bye.